Today, the Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction 2023 high-risk list was released. At best, it shows the United States' actions after leaving Afghanistan as rudderless. At worst, it shows a callous disregard for the Afghans we left behind, for the honor of those who fought, some losing their lives, and for the taxpayers. This report identifies serious risk to more than $8 billion that the U.S. has provided to the Afghan people since the August 2021 U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. The report, the first Inspector General report since the U.S. left Afghanistan in 2021, highlights the Biden administration's failures to rescue and resettle U.S. allies, Afghans, who our nation left behind when we left. Over almost 20 years, tens of thousands of Afghans in and out of the government risked their lives and their families' lives by courageously partnering with the U.S. Many of them were left behind during our disastrous withdrawal. The IG report said, in part, once the United States withdrew and the Taliban seized power, the dangers to these Afghans soared. However, bureaucratic dysfunction and understaffing have undermined the U.S. promises that they would be protected in a timely manner. The report goes on to say, 1 month before the Afghan government collapsed, President Biden assured U.S. allies, that would be the Afghans, that they would not be left behind. The report quotes President Biden saying 1 month before the disastrous exit that there is a home for you in the United States if you so choose, and we will stand with you just as you stood with us. Now, this report comes as Afghanistan is facing a humanitarian catastrophe brought on by the Taliban takeover. Earlier, I spoke with the chairperson of the House Foreign Affairs Committee and Texas Congressman Michael McCaul. Mr. Chairman, thank you very much for joining me, sir.
Thanks, Greta. Thanks for having me.
Mr. Chairman, the Ukraine Prosecutor General has just made the most stunning remarks about the magnitude of the war crimes. 80,000 war crimes. Those are the ones that are registered. What can we do about this?
Well, I think supporting their documentation of the evidence. If anything, this will be a historical record of the atrocities committed by the Russian Federation and Putin himself. I think one of the worst things we heard about today, we heard from 2 victims, one who was in a torture chamber, a 57-year-old woman, and the other one, a child abductee. Over 20,000 children in Greta in the occupied territories have been deported out of Ukraine into Russia, into indoctrination camps. It's really kind of horrific when you hear stories like this that actually are squarely fit in the definition of genocide, trying to wipe out a population. We heard, testimony about 5-year-old girls being raped to death by the Wagner Group, mothers in front of their children, maternity hospitals being bombed. I mean, the atrocities just went on, and I think it's important that this all be documented with an eye. We don't know how this is going to end, but with an eye towards possible prosecution of those involved. And what we're finding also, Greta, is that this is coming from a very high level. These orders are not being done in the field, but rather out of the Kremlin.
Right. Let me turn now to Afghanistan. The Inspector General report has come out, this first one since we left Afghanistan in August of 2021. A month before we left in that very chaotic way, President Biden assured Afghans that that we wouldn't leave them behind. Well, we have left them behind. Are there any efforts even to try to help these people? They were our partners in Afghanistan, and now the Taliban is terrorizing them.
Yeah, I just watched a private screening of The Covenant about an interpreter left behind. And, that was the thing. The president, I don't want to say lied, but certainly misrepresented, saying we're not going to go a helicopter off the top of the embassy. They did. We're not going to leave Americans behind. We did, about 1,000. We're not going to leave our Afghan partners behind. We did. And we also left the biometric data, which gives the Taliban a roadmap to hunt down these interpreters and partners who worked with our troops in the fight against al-Qaeda and the Taliban. And now they're hunting them down with biometrics and they're killing them. It's really disgraceful because it sends a message that America can't keep its promises of no one left behind, that we will leave you behind. And so I think our reputation was damaged. And I think even more so, Greta, this was the first really sign of weakness projected that then invited aggression from Putin into Ukraine, and now Chairman Xi looking at the Pacific.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. It's just I don't even have any words for all these things that are going on, and it's horrendous. Thank you, sir, for joining me.